are you doing today, sir?
I'm good, thanks. It's been a long week, traveling around from New Zealand to London to New York, Los Angeles, and then here.
There has to be, though, something like, obviously we're at Comic-Con. It's the first time you've premiered the movie DREDD to anybody, but there has to be, even after like doing the traveling and everything like that, you show the movie, gets a great reaction. It sort of has to re-energize you, and also just knowing it's like the first time a real audience has seen it.
Yeah, that was important to me, just to see the film for the first time with an audience, just to get a real sense of how it plays. And I just wish Alex Garland could have been there to see it, because it just would have been a real wonderful, given him a real wonderful boost. That it's come off so extraordinarily well.
Obviously there's a lot that's been made. In fact, you talked about it, I think when we last talked, you talked about how you're not going to take the helmet off in DREDD, and everyone said that, like you said it many times and everyone had reported it, but it was almost as if no one believed it.
Yeah.
Until the movie got seen. Why do you think no one believed that you were actually telling the truth that,
I don't know, I always tell the truth. I have no idea. No, I don't know, I guess maybe that was a hangover of what happened in the previous version of the film. But it was always important to us. There was no way that it was possibly even conceivable that we were going to do a DREDD film and have DREDD take his helmet off. And when I met with Alexandra and Alon and Pete, they said to me, "You're aware that the helmet stays on?" And I was like, I wouldn't do the movie. I wouldn't be here taking the meeting if I'd read the script and the helmet was coming off. So we were all on the same page, and it's just important to get it right. I mean, I was a fan of DREDD growing up, so for me, I knew that his the sort of mysterious element of being the faceless representative of the law was critically important. And that's what gives DREDD his enigma. It's that's part of the whole deal.
One of the things that I absolutely love about the movie is just how brutal it is. I think that many films that go R just they just cross over the line, but you guys go real. You go to the line that's NC-17, and you're saying hi to it without crossing over.
We ran past it. Whoa, line, what line?
But I am curious, though, was it always the intention for it to be as brutal and as graphic as it is, or was it sort of something that, like, on set you guys were like, oh, we can do this?
To be perfectly honest with you, I really wasn't even aware of how graphic it was going to be until I sat in that screening the other day and saw it and really realized that it was like no other film I've ever seen. And I think part of that is by virtue of the fact that there's this drug in our film called slow-mo, and it slows time down, and then so, things that, are graphically violent take on this beautiful quality of like a moving picture, and it really turns, graphic violence into art, and at first you're kind of a little horrified and shocked. I was shocked, and then I was like, oh God, that's actually really amazingly beautiful and freaky, and I've never seen anything like it.
Often when you sign on to do a project, you get the script, things change in pre-production, on set a lot of stuff changes. Sometimes the finished film can be nothing like what you set out to make. For DREDD, from where you first started and signed on to what you saw in the finished product, how close does that final film resemble what you signed on for?
I think it turned out even better than I possibly could have hoped or imagined. Making film's not easy. You can get tripped up at any juncture, and we're an underdog film, and for me, the sheer reward was the other night sitting down with that audience and hearing when it worked, hearing when the audience was so engaged, hearing when they were cheering for the heroes, when they were laughing at the dry humour that was in it. It's like, okay, this works. This really works, and I'm just so thrilled. It's really awesome.
Talk a little bit about as an actor. How early are you breaking down a script to get ready? Some I've spoken to say the minute they get a script, they're working on it. Some have said that they wait till really close to the last moment so it's as fresh in their brain as they can. I'm just curious how you work.
Personally, I like the time. That the whole, beginning period of when I get a script is to me one of the most interesting things about what I do, because that's the time where I find quite often to be the most mentally stimulating and quite often the most creative. Quite often when you're on a film and it's just trench warfare, you've got to make your days and you're battling all these elements. So for me, that's a really important part, and I believe in first impressions, but I also believe in having the benefit to think about how many different choices I can make at any one given moment to tell as much about the character as I can. So, and that takes time and energy. But when it actually comes to actually specifically learning the dialogue, it's not something that I'm sitting there and I'm covering up my page. I'm like, learning it like that. And quite often I'll change it and I'll keep it organic. And I like to do different things on different takes. But DREDD was a little bit more different because he got together with Alex Garland and he got together with John Wagner, and John was like, no, DREDD says less, DREDD says less, and they cut out all the dialogue. And then I met up with Alex in Cape Town. We had a meeting, and I'm like, no, take that. DREDD says less, DREDD says less. So it got pared down even yet again.
I think that's actually one of the cool things about it is that it doesn't feel that there's no unnecessary stuff there. It's just brutal, and anyway, that's putting myself in the interview. I want to switch completely before I run out of time. Mm-hmm. I know you're not allowed to talk about Trek. I'm not going to ask anything that's going to get you in trouble.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask only things that you can answer.
All right.
Okay.
Sure.
Damon Lindelof told me that one of the cool things about the sequel was that you guys built the Enterprise set so you could go from one end to the other with one camera take, like just tracking the whole way.
Yeah.
The other thing is Chris Pine told me that you guys filmed a lot of the bridge stuff over the first few days.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious, what was it like for you working in an environment where the whole bridge and everything is built? And also, what were your first few days on set like?
That was one of the cool things about coming back and getting back into the Star Trek is, you're right, they had built so much more, and you really felt like you were on on the Enterprise. You'd walk out of the bridge and walk down corridors. You could go left, you could right, you could go to the med bay, the transporter room. It was all connected. And really, what they've done with the set is they have opened it up in certain places. It's just without giving too much away, you're going to see more of the Enterprise in this movie. And it was, coming back was really, it was so surreal. It was literally, there we are in the same uniforms. We have exactly the same extras, exactly the same crew. There's JJ, and we find ourselves going for the first takes, and JJ's moving the camera like no other director I've worked with. That he's got his signature style, and it was so surreal. It was literally like going back in time. It was like being in a time warp, and but it was wonderful to see how everybody had grown and evolved over that period. We've all gone on to do other projects, and not only personally but creatively, we've all changed and evolved, and it was just so wonderful to come back. We still all have the same, wicked sense of humor, and we just don't stop laughing all day long. And it was just, it's just I feel blessed. It's such a wonderful group of people to work with.
My last question, because I got to wrap with you. One of the things I'm most excited about is you guys shot part of the film with IMAX. Yeah. IMAX cameras. What was that experience like for you? Was that your first time working with IMAX? And because it's very loud and bulky. And
it's loud and bulky, and you don't get long, but it looks incredible. It's just amazing. I mean, the negative goes from being like a 35mm to suddenly you've got that much negative and so much more information. And JJ, I think he really fell in love with IMAX during the course of making the film, and was trying to look for as much to shoot in IMAX as possible. And I can say, I actually can announce that there will be some special Star Trek footage dropping for Comic-Con 2012 within the next couple of hours, I reckon. By the end of the day, hopefully.
Yeah, I heard
by
YouTube.
The end of the day. YouTube. Star Trek, Comic-Con, sneak peek.
I will leave you there and say thank you so much for your time, and I know I'm getting the hook. Pleasure to talk to you.
Cool, thank you very much. Take care. Collider.